If you were to say Syracuse and Clemson's meeting today was a marathon, it'd be a severe understatement. The Orange darted to Death Valley to come away with a 34-21 blowout of the Tigers, but questions for the future loom with Steve Angeli's injury hanging over this upset victory. Ricky Collins was forced to finish this one off in his first extended play all season. How on earth are SU fans feeling following the win? There's plenty to talk about on Orange Press Pass, and it starts right now. Hi again, everybody. Luke Burgess alongside Adam Hipsky and Cole Purvis. Syracuse takes down Clemson in Death Valley, 34-21 in an absolute thriller. The Orange come away with a win that, quite frankly, nobody expected, guys. But there's certainly a lot to take away from this one. Steve Angeli injured, likely sidelined long-term. Your first thoughts, because there could be a whole lot, and I wouldn't be surprised if you forgot some of your first thoughts. An almost 5.5-hour game.
Well, yeah, it's all over the place, but you talked about Steve Angeli, and I do think that my first thoughts come from this side of the ball. Syracuse is more balanced than I thought offensively going into this one. I think coming in, everyone thought this was a more pass-heavy team, especially with Steve Angeli, but they can get it done on the ground and through the air. Over 150 yards on the ground, nearly 300 yards through the air. It makes defenses pick and choose. You can't stack the box. You can't only play four-down linemen. It definitely possesses a difficult attack for Syracuse football offensively.
My first thought is that Syracuse threw the kitchen sink at Clemson. When you go down to Death Valley against a storied program like that, you have to take some risks, and that's what Syracuse did. Scored a touchdown on their opening drive, and then they come out onside kick. Syracuse recovers, keeps the offense on the field. The defense was flying around all day long today. They took risks, and it paid off in a huge win.
Oh, well, there was certainly a whole lot of pressure for Syracuse to try and get the job done, but more pressure on Clemson. Let's take a look back at how this all went down in Death Valley. Clemson 1-2. Losses to LSU early on in the season. Barely escaped Troy, and then a loss to Georgia Tech just a week ago. And Syracuse knew that they would have to come out firing. They did exactly that with Yasin Willis. 32 yards early on in the game, all runs early on in this drive, and Willis was fantastic. Coming back from injury, he did not play last week against Colgate, and the shoulders on that guy, I mean, my goodness, guys.
What a build.
He is a physical specimen, Yasin Willis. A yak monster is what they call him. This
guy as well, a yak monster. Justice Ross Simmons going up and mossing a guy. Second straight week, we've seen a Syracuse wideout make an incredible catch. This is an incredible catch as well. Gabe finds his man downfield to make it a 10-7 ball game. A Hail Mary type throw, falling away from his receiver. Klubnik showing some prowess, but Angeli came right back, and this was one of the best throws he had all day. Finds Darryl Gill on the near sideline, toe taps his way toward the sideline. Fantastic catch, great body control. Give another look at this one.
Yeah, ridiculous. Darryl Gill Jr., the body control to get a foot down, and Steve Angeli, the presence to make that throw on the move.
He was the guy that made the incredible catch last week, and then he does it again. This time a lot more separation, though, and Gill again reaching out, just grasps it in his fingertips, and Syracuse has a huge lead here, now up to 24-7. You see the reaction from the Clemson fans. They're flabbergasted, but Gabe Klubnik didn't take too long to come right back. Gets plenty of time in the pocket. That was a theme all day long. One of the sloppier drives for SU's defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cade Klubnik at points in this game looked like he could dice up the Syracuse secondary, which has been a concern this season.
10-point lead for the Orange at the half. This almost 2.5 hours later after a long lightning delay. A lot of questions about how Syracuse would actually come out in this game. You have the 20-minute, 15-minute halftime, and then you come back out hours later. It's a completely different ball game, but this was something that lingered from the first half. Steve Angeli hurts his knee early on in drive one on a run and then goes down, and this clearly, guys, what a lot of SU fans are thinking about. Angeli's sidelined from the rest of the game.
Yeah, absolutely, but Ricky Collins stepped up, and it was good for him to get that experience last week.
An interception from Davian Kerr, absolutely huge to keep momentum swinging, and the Orange come away with a 34-21 win. A fantastic upset win in Death Valley, although maybe less fantastic than we once thought. Clemson's season crumbling apart at the seams.
Well, I know this Clemson team is 1-3 at this point, but they came into the season regarded as possibly the most talented team in the entire country with multiple first-round picks on this squad. So a really impressive win for Syracuse, no matter how you shake it up.
Multiple first-round picks on this team, multiple first-round picks just on this defensive line alone, and I think that the Syracuse offensive line really proved something today down in Clemson.
They certainly did. That defensive line full of future NFL players. And we're now joined by our CitrusTV sports reporter down in Death Valley, Adam Gotkin. Adam, thanks for taking the time, man. I hope that you had some coffee, some type of caffeine to keep you going through this 5.5-hour-long affair. I got to really just come out and ask you, what are your thoughts after watching a game like this? Because it was so crazy. You're seeing 3-hour, 45-minute college football games, it seems like almost every week. But this one, an almost 2-hour lightning delay, Steve Angeli injured, and the Orange come away with the win. How are you feeling?
I mean, it was crazy. There's no other way to put it. Look, we got here about 10 hours ago at 9 a.m., and the parking lot was completely packed. That's just football down south, so you had a feeling that it was going to be a special game. And then once it kicked off, I mean, it was absolutely absurd. You start off with Syracuse going down the field and quickly scoring, and then the onside kick, and then that first half was really entertaining. And as you said, we have the lightning delay, which added on to that. So, it was just insane. It was one of those days that I don't think I'll ever forget. And overall, I think it was an incredible college football game. Any Syracuse fans who watched the entire 5.5 hours, I think, are coming away from it just absolutely thrilled, so happy with what they watched. And, I don't think there's any other takeaway other than that, just that it was, an incredible day for Syracuse fans all around. First ever win for this program here in Clemson.
Adam, last year in year one under Fran Brown, 10 wins, including an upset victory over Miami. But you could argue that this win today at Clemson was the most impressive win. But the cloud over all of it is Steve Angeli's injury. What did you see on the sidelines? What did you hear after the game regarding QB1 status?
Yeah, we could see Angeli right after he went down, couldn't even put any weight on his left leg. He went into the tent, came out on crutches, and then went into the locker room on his crutches, and we never saw him come back onto the field after that. Now, Fran Brown is always a little bit, he doesn't want to give the answers about injuries in his press conferences, so we didn't get a full answer on Angeli's health. It was, he's probably not going to play next week. We'll see what happens in the future, but at the end of the day, I think that this team is very confident in Ricky Collins. Fran said that there's a reason he brought in 2 quarterbacks in the offseason, and it was for moments like this where his starter went down. So, this team is prepared. Angeli is still their leader, whether he's on the field or not. And, whether he's on the field or not, I think that the squad is pretty confident in what they have with Collins at quarterback if Angeli isn't healthy.
Adam, Clemson has stars all over the field. You talk about quarterback Cade Klubnik, receiver Bryant Wesco, but Syracuse just holds the Tigers to 21 points. What impressed you most about that unit's ability to contain Clemson's offense?
There were a few things that really impressed me about this Syracuse defense. First off, their tackling. That was a big issue against Tennessee in week 1. Today, the tackling was pretty much incredible. There were very few missed tackles, something that is so hard to do against a team that's as talented as the Tigers with 5 stars all over the place at all their skill positions. The other thing is the secondary. I was so impressed with all the guys in this game, especially Chris Peel. I thought he was incredible. He had a couple really good pass breakups. Demetrius Samuel has been one of the better defensive backs in the country statistically as a true freshman, and he showed that again today. And then some of the guys you don't even hear about that much. And Barry Buxton, I thought, was really good in this game, and he made a big impact on the back end. And you can't forget about Devin Grant as well after missing 2 games, having 10 tackles today. He was just awesome, incredible in that rover role. He looked a lot like Kyle Hamilton does with the Ravens, and it was just overall a really impressive day for this defense. I think it was the best defensive performance under Fran Brown and under Elijah Robinson.
Adam, safe travels back from South Carolina. Thanks for taking some time to join us, and what a game you got to watch today. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about how exactly Syracuse pulled off the upset maybe of Fran Brown's young career. Orange Press back in a sec. Back in our CitrusTV studios, Luke Burgess, Adam Hipsky, Cole Purvis alongside you, breaking down SU's 34-21 win over Clemson in Clemson on the road, game 1 of the ACC slate. But plenty of other Syracuse athletics action going around the hill this weekend, guys. Anything catch your eye? Of course, Syracuse field hockey's undefeated start coming to an end, 6-1 now.
Yeah, a tough loss to Wake Forest yesterday, just 2-1, so a close margin for the Orange. But I look at the women's soccer game tonight. Syracuse hosts top-ranked Virginia. That's going to be a tall task for the Orange, who have started 0-1-1 in conference play. We'll see if they can even keep it close tonight. They're really going to have to lean on goaltender Shea Vanderbosch if they want to come away with the victory.
Flipping from women's soccer to men's soccer, Syracuse also starts winless in conference play, still in search of that victory to make Ian McIntyre the winningest head coach in program history. It seems like they've been in search of that one for nearly a month now. Almost had it against top 10 Stanford last week. They come up short again last night against the Blue Devils down in Durham.
Yeah, Cole, I know we're holding you a little bit late from getting to your coverage for the women's soccer team. Rest of college football today as well. Plenty of good games going on. Texas Tech takes it in big fashion over Utah.
Red Raiders, a completely new team from a year ago. Joey McGuire tried to go heavy in the transfer portal, and he has completely revamped this group. And what a win going into Utah. It seemed like the Utes had a lot going for them, an undefeated start to 2025.
Good home atmosphere, too.
Exactly, and a statement made by Texas Tech.
Well, with Clemson's season pretty much ruined now, I look at the team that is expected now to win the ACC. Number 4 Miami playing host to Florida. It's a must-win for the Gators. DJ Lagway needs to have a great game. We'll see if Carson Beck, the Hurricanes quarterback, can keep it rolling.
Well, of course, the question that a lot of people are asking now, what's the case with Steve Angeli? Fran Brown had this to say after the conclusion of today's game.
I feel Steve was amazing. It seems like he won't be here for a couple weeks right now. I love Steve. I'm so thankful for all that he's done. Steve will always be the leader of our football team. We just got to support and rally behind him to make sure he's straight, right? I can't really talk too much about it because I'm not 100% sure yet. But I know, okay, Steve won't probably possibly play next week, things of that nature.
Well, certainly not a promising sign. Steve Angeli, Fran Brown says he's not going to play next week against Duke. The question is he going to play again this season? You don't want to speculate, but the injury did not look good.
It didn't, and he went out early in the game, got a brace, and then comes back in, tries to take off, and you never like a non-contact injury, and that was exactly what Steve Angeli suffered in this one. So concerning, but you don't want to speculate too much. It's a long season and a lot of ball left to be played.
Well, Adam, the optics of it looked really bad. Angeli immediately gets the crutches. He's hugging his teammates. He's emotional on the sidelines. And it's really disappointing because you talk about a guy who came into this game leading the nation in passing yards, had a great start to this season, figured he was going to be a great quarterback for Syracuse out of the transfer portal this season, and played really well in the first half of this game, but just an unfortunate non-contact injury.
And everyone wants to take the negative side, and understandably so, because Angeli has had such a strong start. But Ricky Collins, I thought, outside of his interception last week against Colgate, showed that he was certainly capable of being a starting quarterback at a Power 4 level, and then I think he cemented that today, but it definitely is a little bit different with a full week of practice under a belt, which he'll likely have next week.
Yeah, it's going to be Ricky Collins' time for the foreseeable future. A guy who had not gotten a little bit of run as well. You're talking about how Ricky Collins hasn't gotten to go on the field too much. Well, Yasin Willis, he was fantastic against Tennessee in week 1. Didn't play all that much against UConn. You eventually find out it might be because of injury, and then doesn't play at all against Colgate. Today he's shown, though, almost 100 yards on the ground.
Well, absolutely, and I think what's really nice about this Syracuse team is not just Yasin Willis, but Will Nixon. Those two, 1A, 1B. Jeff Nixon has gone as far to say, but obviously Willis, that power back, he certainly can get it done in between the tackles, and Will Nixon possesses that receiving threat as well, which I think makes him so dangerous, this running back unit as a whole.
It's a really strong 1-2 punch. Yasin Willis, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, a physical specimen, bounces off of tackles, great with yards after contact. And then Will Nixon, kind of the smaller, speedier back who's great at catching passes, also had a nine-yard rushing touchdown today as well. The backs looked really great today and absolutely torched this Clemson defense.
And how about the creativity? Something that we hadn't really seen in the run game under Jeff Nixon, getting Jonte Cook involved as well as an end around, which he did some damage with.
And really, that was all powered forward. The rushing game started this one off. And that was what got the offense going early on. Syracuse out to a 10-0 lead. The conversation all week long seemed to be about if Syracuse falls behind like they did against Tennessee, they have no chance. But they did a really good job of getting out to a hot early start.
Well, I think Syracuse has been ultra impressive under Fran Brown when more than a week off. Okay, so a Friday game last week against Colgate. Now, that was big. You get an extra day, and you get that rest on Saturday. Last year, Syracuse 4-0 when more than a week off, and then that was exactly what the Orange channeled into today's win. You could tell they were ready. That extra day of prep, I thought really did them well.
What I loved was this receiving core, Adam. Last week, Daryl Gill Jr. with the highlight reel catch gets on Randy Moss's You Got Moss segment, and then Justice Ross Simmons comes out on the first drive of the game, and he high points the football, makes a really impressive grab. This receiver core was awesome today. Jonte Cook was consistently getting separation, had a big catch on the second drive on 4th and 2. Big plays all day long by this receiving core.
Yeah, scoring on your first 4 drives against a pretty impressive defense. That's a statement from Syracuse. Over to Luke Burgess with your player of the game.
Well, guys, the receiving core was certainly fantastic, and it was high-pointed. I like they're high-pointing the football by Jonte Cook. Absolutely phenomenal day, and then guess what we hear afterwards? We hear, oh, he might not be entirely healthy yet. There's still another level to what Jonte Cook could do for Syracuse. Fantastic in the Tennessee game, and today over 100 receiving yards. It was Justice Ross Simmons who made a lot of those nice catches for touchdowns, but it was Jonte Cook who really carried this team to victory. Some of the plays behind me, fantastic stuff on some of those end arounds, getting him involved in a variety of different ways, and we talk all about the talent that was on this Clemson defense, how good they are at maintaining that low rate of separation. Jonte Cook had plenty of separation, particularly in the first half, and for that, he is our Orange Press Pass player of the game. Jonte Cook leads the Orange to victory in the receiving core. We still got up on Orange Press Pass. We're going to break down some film. Our guys getting dirty in the trenches.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where did cats go on vacation? New York.
Welcome back into our CitrusTV studio. Luke Burgess here with you. And my analysts, Adam Hipsky and Cole Purvis, are not too far away. And that's because they're breaking down some film for us in our film room.
Well, Syracuse, plenty of offensive output today, over 30 points against a very talented Clemson defense. And we talked about the balanced attack a little bit earlier. Cole, nearly 300 yards through the air and over 150 yards on the ground. So we've got a pass play. He's got a run play to break down for you. Steve Angeli obviously went down with an injury, but this was a play he made early in this game. A statement play from Steve Angeli. So we'll roll it and we'll pause real quick. I want to hone in on Justice Ross Simmons. Top of your screen, no safety help. The safety help here on the near side. If Justice Ross Simmons is going to be on an island, this is where Steve Angeli and Justice Ross Simmons have to be on the same page. So we'll run it. Justice Ross Simmons, one-on-one, motion to the near side. Defense comes closer to the short side. Play action, outside release. Where's the one place that Steve Angeli has to put the ball to give Justice Ross Simmons and only Justice Ross Simmons a chance? Outside. back shoulder, and that's exactly what he did. DB cannot get over. Right there, back corner, and giving his receiver a chance to high point it. An impressive catch, but I thought it was an even more impressive throw. Even though it was contested, that's what made it so impressive in my eyes.
Yeah, he was precise all day long, and these receivers, their ability to pull these balls down, it was an incredible display of offensive talent today from Syracuse. But let's go to a run play, and we talked about the success from Yasin Willis. How about Will Nixon, the number 2 kind of scat back for Syracuse? Let's take a look at one of his touchdowns today early on in the game. So we're going to bring that up right here.
But Willis, I mean, what a game from him. Because Clemson's defensive line, it's tough to run in between the tackles.
And here's this play right here. A great block springs Will Nixon free. He's into the end zone for the touchdown. And you take a look at this replay angle right here, and we're going to stop it right here. You have Will Nixon. Angeli's in the gun, Nixon to his left hip. And you can see this block right here from T.J. Ferguson, the left guard. Go ahead and play that. Look at this block to spring Nixon free. Angeli takes the snap, gives to Nixon, and just a hole. And he exploits it, and there's nobody in the second level of the defense to take Nixon down. Darts into the end zone for a touchdown. That was a huge play to give Syracuse even more momentum, put them up 17-7 at the time. This rushing attack was awesome today.
Even though Angeli isn't known as a dual threat guy, he also put that edge in conflict, which is definitely a good thing to have, especially with Ricky Collins, if they want to go for those options.
Absolutely. Syracuse set the edge really, really well today. They were working along the sidelines. They were working up the field really well. It was a great display offensively today.
Absolutely. And then we can look at the turning point of this one as well, Steve Angeli. It's hard to talk about this game without him, but Luke Burgess has more on what really changed the momentum between the Orange and Tigers.
Yeah, guys, there are plenty of moments that you could point to. Both the moments you guys were just talking about easily could have been today's turning point, but it's one play in specific that really flipped things today, and it came awfully early. It's the onside kick from Jaden O, perfectly executed. It's got to roll 10 yards. It maybe rolled 11 before Syracuse falls on top of it, and this just in the first 2 drives of the football game. Syracuse comes out, and Fran Brown shows that he's not playing any games. He wants to win this game in Death Valley, and that's exactly what would end up happening. But Jaden O, you have to give him a lot of credit because you see these messed up all the time. And I'll say as well, in the NFL, you don't get this anymore. Not in 2025. You have to announce when you're attempting an onside kick. And college reminds us why it's so beautiful that sometimes you can spring one out of nowhere, still take advantage of the element of surprise from time to time. Maybe that's a lost art, but Fran Brown certainly trying to keep it alive. Jaden O and his onside kick to give Syracuse an extra chance is our turning point of today's game. We still got a little bit more to come on Orange Press Pass. We'll talk about the upcoming schedule. Of course, lots of questions. How many games is the Syracuse team going to be able to win with Ricky Collins potentially in charge? We've also got sound off as we finish things up.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Coming to a close here on Orange Press Pass, Luke Burgess, Adam Hipsky, Cole Purvis, alongside you, breaking down Syracuse's 34-21 win over Clemson to move to 1-0 in the ACC. Guys, a really resounding win today, but the schedule ahead is no easy task. There's a lot more to play for in Syracuse's season, potentially with Ricky Collins as the starting QB.
And next week, all eyes in the ACC have to be in Syracuse, a battle between two transfer quarterbacks. It's Darian Mensah for Duke, and it'll be Ricky Collins for Syracuse in front of what the Orange have already announced is going to be a sold-out crowd. So Syracuse, with all the momentum in its favor, a chance to pick up a huge win and keep it rolling next week against the Blue Devils.
So much was made about the difficulty of this schedule, but as you look down the road, some of these opponents have slipped up a little bit. SMU with a loss today against TCU. Pitt doesn't look all that great either. There are wins out here for Syracuse. It's looking more and more likely that SU will make a bowl game by the day.
Yeah, well, I've been told, maybe a little bit of a sneak preview, that Adam Hipsky might think there's a whole lot of wins remaining on the Syracuse schedule. But there's only one way to find out how many he thinks that is, and that's in our segment Sound Off, which starts right now.
Despite Syracuse football winning 10 games in just year one under Fran Brown, the Orange, it seemed, never stood a chance to the national media in this year's college football landscape. So what did they make of this gauntlet of a schedule? You have Clemson and SMU, both on the road, both two playoff teams from a season ago. Okay, well, now Syracuse has handled one, and now they've got SMU, a team that has already lost multiple games through just 4 weeks of college football in 2025. Next week, Duke. This was a team that could have been one of the better teams in the ACC. You go and you get this high-end transfer portal quarterback in Darian Mensah. Now they've lost multiple games. Pitt, UNC, Boston College, all losses already that aren't really that great. So you look at 5 winnable games there. Okay, so now we go from a team in Syracuse that's already got 3 under its belt to now maybe 8. Okay, this is a very, very possible 10-win season for the Orange. Syracuse playing Miami, they did it a year ago, and Mario Cristobal at the helm of the Hurricanes, they're never unbeatable.
For me, the most impressive thing about Syracuse's win over Clemson today is that SU showed it had the mental edge, and they normally do under Fran Brown. This Clemson team is going to have several players playing on Sunday, maybe even their entire starting lineup. Quarterback Cade Klubnik came into this season as one of the favorites for the Heisman Trophy. Bryant Wesco, an incredible receiver. Antonio Williams, talented as well. This team has a ton of talent on it. Then you look at the defensive side of the ball. There are multiple projected first-round picks on that side, but for whatever reason, Clemson is a team that has been ruined mentally. Syracuse, on the other hand, comes out, gets that onside kick early on, completely changes the momentum. They showed a display of mental toughness today, especially after the rain delay, which could have easily flipped momentum towards the Tigers, but instead Syracuse came out and won.
Well, our next Orange Press Pass is just a week away. Syracuse and Duke, like these guys said, playing in a sold-out dome. You'll definitely want to be there for a 4:30 show. Well, that's all the time we have on Orange Press Pass this evening. A long game that ends with a fantastic show. For my partners, Adam Hipsky and Cole Purvis, our executive producer, Gabe Perrin, I'm Luke Burgess saying so long. Syracuse takes it 34-21.